afternoon. The world at noon. First, the headlines. Nigeria prison says its capacity has overshot by 16,000. Zambia and Botswana bemoaned organized crime in the region. Musician sues jailer for putting him on suicide watch. Now, the news in detail. Governor Adegboyega Oyetola campaign train called at Ila-Ife local government areas of the state of Osun as part of efforts towards his re-election in the forthcoming gubernatorial election. Governor Oyetola, who received accolades from the traditional rulers and residents in the area for a job well done, was also reassured that victory is within his grasp in the 16th July gubernatorial poll. Governor's office correspondent Sonia Onoride files in the details. The report will be brought to you later. The custodial centers of the Nigerian Correctional Service have overshot its combined accommodation capacity of 58,278 by over 16,000. Information has it that the development has continued to aggravate tension and aggression among inmates and has subsequently overstretched the system. Speaking at the Second Controller General of Corrections retreat in Sokoto State, the Controller General of the Corrections, Aliru Nababa, stressed that the retreat was aimed at drawing and outlining the 5-year direction for the service in line with the ministerial retreat held in Ilorin, Kwara State capital in 2021. Also, Minister of Interior Rauf Aregbesola said strategies and deliberations at the retreat will be centered around solutions on recapturing all escaped inmates to safeguard communities who may become prey to criminal activities of escaped inmates. Ogbeni Aregbesola also noted with dismay the negative impact of the NSAS protest, which later turned violence, leading to attacks of custodial facilities, which gave rise to the attacks on the facilities. Zambia and Botswana have expressed concern over escalation of organized crime between the two countries and the region. Minister of Defense Ambrose Lufuma and his Botswana counterpart Thomas Musi have since directed the defense and security wings in both countries to curb the escalating organized crime. The two ministers have described the transnational and organized crime as a threat to the socio-economic development and security of the two countries. Mr. Lufuma and Mr. Musi disclosed that these are the joint press briefing on the conclusion of the 23rd session of Botswana-Zambia Joint Permanent Commission on Defense and Security held in Kasane, Botswana. Mr. Lufuma cited human and drug trafficking, poaching, irregular migration, terrorism and vandalism as being the major transitional and organized crimes affecting the two countries. The Joint Permanent Commission acknowledged that the COVID-19 pandemic has adversely affected the socio-economic development of the two countries and called for an enhanced response to the pandemic. The report from the Governor's office is now ready.
Communities in Ila and Ifedayo local government areas of the state of Osun, including Ila-Orangun, Oke-Ila, as well as Ora-Igbomina, were pretty much elated to receive Governor Adegboyega Oyetola's campaign train with fanfare for his re-election in the forthcoming gubernatorial election. While receiving the traditional royal's blessing at the palace of Orangun of Oke-Ila, Ashaoni of Ora-Igbomina, Akesin of Ora-Igbomina, Governor Adegboyega Oyetola maintained that he is consciously guided towards improving the lot of the people, as been demonstrated with numerous welfare policies and infrastructural developments that resonates with the yearnings and aspirations of the people, adding that if re-elected in the forthcoming gubernatorial election, he would deliver more dividends of democracy across the state. Orangun of Ila, Oba Abdulwahab Oyedotun, Orangun of Oke-Ila, Oba Abolarin Adedokun, Ashaoni of Ora-Igbomina, Oba Joshua Tinuoye Atolagbe Akesin Ora-Igbomina, Oba Samuel Oladoye Idowu extolled the landmark achievement recorded in all ramifications by Governor Adegboyega Oyetola, stressing that Governor Oyetola deserves to be supported for another term in boosting the profile of the state that is currently unfolding under its leadership for the benefit of all. Addressing the mammoth party supporters that throng Ila Orangun and Okela town squares, Governor Adegboyega Oyetola would noted that moving the state forward with social amenities and accelerated economic developments is paramount and very dear to his heart, reiterated that if re-elected, his administration will continue to pursue critical initiatives in transforming the life of the citizenry. Governor Oyetola therefore implored the eligible voters to ensure that they are in possession of the permanent voters card to exercise their franchise in the forthcoming gubernatorial election.
I've come to thank them for their support for the past 3.5 years and ask them to continue to support us. I've told them that my party has, asked me to continue to fly the flag of the party for the coming election on the 16th of July. I still need their support. We have 3 wards there, and this place is highly thickly populated. So if one is able to get some of these votes together, it makes a lot of difference. And they've seen the few things we have been able to do within the period of 3.5 years. They are willing, they are ready to support us. So this is the essence of my going around.
The state chairman of the All Progressive Congress, Prince Gboyega Famodun, the Director General of Oyetola's Campaign Council, Senator Ajibola Bashir, urged the residents in the area to keep eagle eyes on their ballots and ensure landslide victory for Governor Adegboyega Oyetola. Dignitaries on the campaign train with Governor Adegboyega Oyetola, including the wife of the governor, Mrs. Kafayat Oyetola, the Deputy Governor, Mr. Benedict Alabi, the wife of the Deputy Governor, Mrs. Oyefunke Alabi, Secretary to the State Government, Prince Wole Oyebamiji, members of the State Executive Council, members of the State House of Assembly, leadership and members of the All Progressive Congress from across the state. The campaign rally was intermittently punctuated with dancing and chorusing the rhythm from the bandstand. From the governor's office, Sanya Onoride reporting.
Germany and Nigeria have signed an agreement that paves the way for the return of hundreds of artifacts known as the Benin bronzes that were looted and removed from Africa more than 120 years ago, an accord that Nigerian officials expressed the belief would prompt other countries to follow suit. It will be recalled that the British colonial expedition looted vast quantities of treasures in 1897 from the royal palace of the Kingdom of Benin in what is now southwestern Nigeria, including numerous bas-reliefs and sculptures. Now, German Foreign Minister in Berlin disclosed that 2 pieces held by the Berlin Museum, a commemorative head of a king and a relief slab depicting a king with 4 attendants, were handed over as German and Nigerian officials signed a joint political declaration. He added that he expected the move to become a harbinger of more preparation of cultural property. Government and museums in Europe and North America have increasingly sought to resolve ownership disputes over objects that were looted during colonial times. Germany announced last year in its intention to return the Benin bronzes that ended up in the country. The authority that oversees the museum said it is expected to keep the sum on long-term loan. This is the World at Noon, coming to you from Osun State Broadcasting Corporation. Ilea Wiye Okebale Oshogbo, Voice of the West. Now a mid-news message. Position of authority is the position of responsibility, not an avenue for self-aggrandizement. Be humble while in position of authority. A musician, R. Kelly, has sued the Brooklyn jail that has housed him since his racketeering and sex crimes conviction, stressing that it wrongly put him on suicide watch after he received a 30-year prison sentence despite knowing he was not suicidal. In a complaint filed in Brooklyn Federal Court, the 55-year-old multi-platinum R&B singer said officials at the Metropolitan Detention Center ordered the watch after his 29 June sentencing solely for punitive purposes and because he was a high-profile inmate. Kelly said the harsh conditions he faced led to severe mental distress and amounted to cruel and unusual punishment that violated the U.S. Constitution's 8th Amendment. He is seeking unspecified compensatory and punitive damages, though the docket suggests Kelly is seeking $100 million. The jail did not immediately respond to requests for comment. Kelly still faces an August trial in Chicago federal court on child pornography and obstruction charges and various state charges in Illinois and Minnesota. A 22-year-old woman has been reportedly missing after she and her male counterpart fell off a jet while gliding over snow on Lake Mead in Las Vegas, United States. The National Park Service was alerted that 2 people had fallen into the lake near Boulder Islands. The Park Service said that the woman did not wear a life jacket during the incident. Park rangers, search and rescue teams from the Las Vegas Metropolitan Police Department found the man, but the woman was still missing and has not been seen since the time she submerged into the waters. American men are now rushing to get vasectomies in the wake of abortion bans in several states. Reports has it that more than half of U.S. states have either imposed severe abortion bans or are shortly expected to following the Supreme Court's decision to revoke the constitutional right to the procedure. According to the report, U.S. President Mr. Joe Biden denounced the conservative majority court for outrageous behavior, backing a Senate rule change that will allow Democrats to override Republican opposition and force through abortion rights legislation. Since the Supreme Court ruling, scores of urologists have reported a huge increase in men demanding sterilization procedures. The surge has been most notable in childless men under the age of 30. Information has it that Mr. Doug Stein, a doctor known as the vasectomy king for his long-time advocacy of the procedure, said the increase in requests was highly noticeable in the aftermath of the Supreme Court decision on abortion. He stated that his clinic is fully booked now, leading him to add additional days to his schedule to meet the demand. Chinese President Mr. Xi Jinping has visited Hong Kong to lead official celebrations for the 25th anniversary of the territory's handover from Britain to China. Over the last 3 years, Hong Kong's authorities say all are calm and the country is now experiencing a brighter future for the city after years of social unrest and COVID-19 challenges. Reports say over the last 3 years, Beijing has cracked down on Hong Kong's once vibrant political scene amid global criticism. And here again are the highlights of the world at noon. The custodial center of the Nigerian Correctional Service have overshot its combined accommodation capacity of 58,278 by over 16,000. Zambia and Botswana have expressed concern over escalation of organized crime between the two countries and the region. A musician, R. Kelly, has sued the Brooklyn jail that has housed him since racketeering and sex crimes convictions, stressing that it wrongly put him on suicide watch after he received a 30-year prison sentence despite knowing he was not suicidal. And that was The World at Noon, edited by Denny Kendi and delivered by Titi Lokwe Ajiboye. For more about us, you can visit www.osbcng.org. Thanks for listening. Good afternoon.